adjustments when you're in a seated position. Begin our practice, drawing the flesh of the buttocks out. Think about drawing flesh of the quadriceps away from the hips toward the knees, and then over the knee and down the shins. The inner thigh goes down, so you might want to just take that moment again. As you pull the flesh of the buttock out, the inner thigh goes down at the same time on that same side. So this maximizes the seated position, Sukhasana. Bring your palms together. Close your eyes. Observe your breath. Pay attention to the breath like nothing else exists right now in this moment. Just the breath. Observe the rapidity of the breath or the slowness of the breath. Notice if the breath is shallow or if it's deeper or somewhere in between, or maybe it's both. Conscious breathing brings a deeper, more full breath into the body. Allow your shoulder blades to move away from the back of the skull and bring the two elbows down and draw the sternum chest into the thumb mounds. Notice the position of the head. Notice if the chin is tilted upward or perhaps even downward. Bringing the chin somewhere in between. And then drawing the chin inward to create a little bit more length in the back of the neck. Soften the lips and the tongue. And we'll chant 3 Ohms. Yogena chitasya padena vacham malam sharigasya chavai yogena yoga karatam pravaramaninam patanjalam pranjaliranatusmi abahu parushakaram shankachakrasidarinam Sahasra Shirsam Shwetam Prananami Patanjalam Hari Om. Bow your head. Release your hands. Lift your head and open your eyes. So our first pose today is going to be Sukhasana. So it's basically a continuation of the first part of our practice. So to do that, start with the legs extended. You can keep your feet apart And just engage the legs for a moment. Find the sit bones and sit up tall. This is Dandasana. Legs very firm. Torso tall, shoulders releasing. And then take your left foot and bring it in and across. And then take your right foot and bring it in and across. And then you'll take, if you have two blocks, you can use both blocks. Otherwise, you just set one block forward. You have two blocks, you just set them like that. And we're going to take the two arms and lift them, extending up through the two sides of the body. So think less about the arm and think more about from the hip all the way up. And then slowly feeling your two sit bones as you hinge forward, bring your two hands to the blocks and walk your blocks forward any amount. You don't have to come in too deeply into this pose. So it's best to go gradually. Gaze is down somewhere between the blocks and your knees is where your gaze rests. And you may close your eyes for a few breaths. And then take your right hand and bring it back slightly off to the side and slightly back, and take your left hand. If you only have one block, you'll just move the block over to your right. You really only need one block for this particular version. Sliding the block forward if you'd like, but also trying to anchor that left sit bone. And then come back, bring the two blocks back, and then we'll go over to the other side. So you'll take the left hand back and slide your right hand in a diagonal, maybe pushing the block forward. Notice how different it is on each side, and that's in part because one leg is in front and one behind, and so there are limitations from side to side here. Again, try to anchor that right sit bone. And then come back to center. And then come back up. Bring your heels forward. Dandasana. That's just really to give the legs a little break here. And then we're going to take the right foot and bring it in first and across. So it corresponds, that heel should correspond to the left sit bone. And then the left foot comes in and we'll do the same thing. So you're going to bring your blocks forward and then arms up and exhale. So notice that hinging, it almost comes from the sit bones, anchoring the two sit bones and bringing the hands forward. Gaze is somewhere between the blocks and the legs. Try to relax your shoulders a little bit more, softening around the ridge of the shoulder. Notice which side of the hip this particular configuration supports a little bit more. Then we're going to take the left hand behind and you're going to walk your block over to the left and at a diagonal and push it a little bit at a time, but trying to set that right sit bone back down. It's less of a twist and more of a side stretch. Good, we're going to come back to center.
And then we'll bring the right hand back. Your block will go over a little bit more to the right. And you're just pushing the block forward in that same diagonal line. Setting the left sit bone down. And then come back. And all the way up. And now we'll take the two heels one more time forward here. Feet a little bit apart. Nice and strong through the legs. And then take the two arms and lift them. Cross the arms. Now, you may or may not reach the toes. Don't worry if you don't, just take the hands onto the ankles. Arms are crossed. And the elbows start to reach slightly out to the side. Again, think about hinging and forward bending almost from the sit bones, and you'll get a better result. And as you do this, make sure that your shoulders are drawing away from the ears. They're not clenched up like this. They're releasing. And it's giving your neck just a little more space. Keep pressing through the heels, extending through the Achilles tendon. Notice which arm is in front, and then just take the other arm and reach it on top. And we'll do the same thing here, bending the elbows and drawing the chest forward. Just slowly increasing the forward bend, Paschimottanasana. Good, and then release, press into the thighs to come up. Good, so from here, we're going to come on to the knees. And then I'm going to step my right hand down. So my foot, your right foot is straight back in line with the knee. And then you're going to lift the left leg and lift the left arm. And then extend the left arm and find that side stretch again. Flex your heel for a moment and lift the heel. And then press through the ball of the foot and reach that arm away from the torso at the same time. Turn your gaze upward. And then release. Come down. Stand back up on the knees. Take your left hand down. Try to be really precise about the position of the knee as it relates to the foot. Try to be precise about the position of the hand as it relates to the knee. So it's pretty much in alignment there. And then lift your right leg and lift your right arm. And then extend that right arm. Play with the foot position. Flexing and reaching, and then pressing through the ball of the foot and turning the body upward, lifting that leg. It's sort of a version of half moon. It's a mini half moon, maybe a quarter moon. Good, and then release. You're going to turn right around, face the floor, curl your toes under, knees apart, and then push back with the toes curled under. Just push your hips back and come forward again. So just do that a few times. So stable through the lower part of the leg. And then send the hips way back there and bring the head down. Good. Now come back up onto the hands and the knees. Lift your right leg. Again, flex your heel. We want to play a little bit with the position of the foot. So the heel flex, it's going to give you a little bit more engagement in the glute. And the heel extended, yeah, you still get some of that. The toes extended, and then take the right arm and extend, left arm rather, and extend it forward. Again, flex your heel, lift the leg, feel the back of the leg engaged, feel the inner thigh engaged, and then press through the ball of the foot. And then bend the knee and take hold of the foot with the left hand. Bring the heel in toward the buttock, and then lift and extend. So your chest is really open. Try to get that knee about in the same height as your hip. And then release. Bring the hand back down. You're going to take that same pose with the heels lifted and head down. Forehead resting. Good. Come back up. So this time lift your left leg, flex your heel, feel the glute engage, and then take the right arm forward. And then again, point the toes, extend through the top of the foot, lift the glute, flex the heel, lift the inner thigh. Try to move the right arm and the left leg apart. Try to get that leg at least in line with your glute. And then you'll take your right hand back and take hold of the foot. Start by just bringing the heel in and lifting the knee up slightly. Just getting a stretch in the quadricep. And then you're going to pull the foot back to extend the arm and open the chest. Feels almost like a back bend. And then release. And one last time here, just curling your toes under. You do want to get a bit of a stretch in the toes here. So sitting back toward the heels and bringing the head down, arms extended fully. And in this one, you do use your hands like in downward dog to push into the mat to make space in the entire body. So from hands to hips, creating more space. Good. Now, just bring your forearms down onto the ground and lift your head, and then come lift your hips up and turn your palms open here. Turn your palms open and bring your thumbs down to the floor. Spread your fingers and then lift up. Try to draw those thumbs down and push into the forearms to bring the hips back. Still drawing the thumbs down, gaze between the feet. And then bring the two hands together, interlocking your fingers. And you're going to get more power, more strength from that configuration to bring those hips even further back and even further up. And then let go of the hands again and open the palms. See if you can maintain that length and height in the hips. And then bend the knees.
This time you'll point your toes back and you'll keep the toes apart. We get now a good stretch in the top of the foot, just walking your hands in and lowering your head. So this is Adho Mukha Virasana, downward facing hero pose. Good. Now lift the head and come up onto the knees. Take your forearms down. This time, take the side of the arm down onto the mat. Walk your elbows so that they're right under your shoulders. Take a peek there at each side. Make sure they're right under. And then interlock your fingers together, but keep the palms open. And then curl your toes under. Walk your feet in. Tuck your chin and set your head down. Now you want to be light on the head. You don't want to have all the weight on the head here. So you have to use those arms. And that builds up strength in the shoulders and upper body. And then lift your left leg up. And then release it back down. And then lift the right leg up. You're trying to get lighter on that bottom foot, and you're trying to get lighter on the head, and then release it and bend the knees. This time, bring your toes together, knees apart. Take the classic child's pose, arms extended, head down. So, as most of you know, that is the preparation for the Shirshasana headstand, which I don't actually teach in this class. I like to be there in person to make sure that your head is in the right position, that your spine is in line with the head, that you're engaging the body appropriately to support the Shirshasana. It's an excellent pose, but just takes a little bit extra care. And if you're interested in learning more about Shirshasana, you can practice at the wall, just as we did now, and then you can help yourself up with heels against the wall. Good. From here, you're going to come back up and bring your palms flat on the ground. And now we'll take classic downward facing dog. Now, press your left heel down and bend the right knee, and take your right foot and bring the top of the foot around the left calf, starting right behind the knee, and push down. Just push into the calf there. And don't go too far down. Just stay there, but press in to the calf with the right foot and try to descend the heel. And then you can let the foot come down a little lower. All the way down to the heel. And then step onto the right side. Bend your left knee and take your left foot around the back of the knee. You just kind of hook the top of the foot around there and press firmly in. And then just lower it slightly. Don't go too far down, but keep your focus on the right heel. Descending and encouraging that descension as you bring the foot slowly down now, about halfway down the calf. And then a little lower, maybe down to the Achilles. Still pressing firmly against the back of that right leg, all the way down to the heel now. And then bring your 2 feet back to downward dog. And just see if you could bring any element of that into this pose here. A lot of focus on the calf. Then pick up your right foot and step it forward and bring your left heel down. We're going to keep the right knee bent here. And take your left hand now onto the outside of the right thigh and your right hand back to your sacrum. So it's warrior one, but it's a twist. So the leg's very stable. Turning your body to the right. Now try to get onto the outer edge of the left foot. And then bring your hands back down and push back to downward dog. Once more, just pressing the calf area, starting at the back of the knee, but you're not using your foot this time, you're using your mind, your imagination. Then pick up your left foot and step it forward. Roll your right heel down. Keep the left knee bent, and then come on up. Then keeping the hip in line with the knee, and take the right hand around, left hand on the sacrum. And then from there, rolling the outside of that right foot into the floor, turn your body away from that right leg. But it has to be strong. The right leg has to be really strong. And then step back, downward dog. Good. Step your right foot forward. Bring your left heel down. Take your right forearm and just bring the forearm onto the thigh here. Now you may find if you bend that knee that you need more space between the hands. Take your left hand to your sacrum again. Pull the flesh of the right thigh back as you turn up, turning your body and roll to the outer edge of that left foot. And then take your right arm and bring it down and under, and your left arm back, and you're right around the outer part of the buttock here, and you're going to open your chest. This is bound angle. So let's see. Bound Parsvakonasana. Yeah. Good. Come back and step back. So you'll get to see what it looks like from behind now. So I'm going to take the left foot, step it forward, take the right heel down, take the left forearm onto the thigh, and you can be quite firm with that flesh, just really pushing the arm down and drawing the flesh back. Right hand comes to the sacrum. That stays very stable here in this pose. Continue to roll the flesh of the left thigh back. And now take the left arm down, right hand back, and you see it comes right around the outer part of the glute. And then
it really guides the buttock into the correct position for the pose. Roll your right shoulder open. Press into the outer edge of the right foot. And then release. One last time, downward facing dog. And then bend your knees and come down. Take your blanket. Take a block. Take a strap. Lie down. Seems to be everyone's favorite instruction. When I say lie down, everyone usually just collapses down into the floor. At least that's been my experience when I teach in-person classes. So go ahead and enjoy. We're going to bring focus to the hip and the leg here. You'll have your block off to your right. You'll bend both knees. You'll lift the right foot and bring the strap around the ball of the foot, then just below the ball of the foot. Arms are extended, so you do want to keep your arms straight. And the heel is straight up. And you're basically looking for a vertical position of the leg to start. Now you might be able to slowly start to bring the leg in a little closer. I'm very interested in continuing the stretch through the calf here. And I'm also interested in adding to that stretch with the hamstring. So if you just pay attention to the back of the knee for a second, the calf moves away from the back of the knee and the hamstring moves away from the back of the knee. So essentially they're moving in different directions. Now, if you can, take your strap around the calf for a moment and see if you can bring the thigh in a little closer so that you can almost feel the top of the thigh in toward the abdomen. And then extend your arms over the head so that the arms are straight and the strap is taut. Yes, you should be shaking. Just think about all those past lives living themselves through you in this very moment as you shake. Yes. Ooh, there's a lot of past lives here. Good. Now we're going to keep the angle of the leg and walk the strap back up onto the ball of the foot and just below. We're going to hold on here and lift the left leg up next to the right. And then you're going to take 5 of these. So it's going to be extending the left leg 5 times, but almost touching the ground, but maybe not quite, just maybe very lightly, and then back up. Keeping that thigh close to the abdomen. Do it again. Take the left leg and extend it almost to the ground. Try to touch the calf to the ground before the heel and then back up. It's okay to shake. It's good to shake. Get those past lives. Let them find their way out of your body. There are more there. And then extend forward again through the left leg and back up. And then again. And then back up. One more here. And now just hold it here. Hold on with your right hand. Wrap the strap around your right hand. Take your left hand onto your thigh now. And as you push into the thigh, bring the strap in closer to your face. Then from here, we're going to take the leg and open it.
off to the side here, nice and slowly. Try to maintain as much of that angle away from the extended left leg as possible. And I always like to rest the calf on the block. Press through your right heel. Press through your left heel. Don't be too aggressive with the left leg at first. Notice the hip. So you want to go gently because of the hip. You don't want to press that hip down to the floor immediately. You want to go easy and slowly and gradually. You can take your left hand and just place it on the hip bone there. Just that little crest that you can feel, that iliac crest there. Asis, I believe it's called. Push through the heel again. Again, play with the foot a little bit. So you can push through the heel and then push through the ball of the foot and notice the different effects that those adjustments have on the leg and hip. From here, begin to lift your right leg, keeping the left leg stable. Come all the way up. And then release. And go ahead and just extend the leg out in front. And immediately just, feel the difference between mostly the right hip and the left hip. If you place your hands there on the two iliac bones, the iliac crest there, you might be able to feel the difference. So right now I feel like my right bone there is a little bit lower than the left. And even if I look up, I can tell it is slightly more open and a tiny bit lower. And then bend your two knees. And we're going to go to the second side. I'm just going to move around here so I can face the camera. I'm going to put my block in the same position. Knees are bent. And I'm going to lift the left leg now. And look, if you're really curious about the exact spot, it's not the ball of the foot. It's just below the ball of the foot. So it's essentially the uppermost part of the arch that reaches into the ball of the foot. You do want the strap there. And then we're just going to hold it here for a moment. And I'm very gradually inviting this leg into a more open position. And I'm doing it in parts and drawing the heel up and drawing the toes down. And I'm feeling the calf, the top of the calf move away from the back of the knee. And I'm feeling the lower part of the hamstring move down toward the sit bone. So we want essentially a vertical line, but if you're able to go a little further here, you might, with that right knee bent, you might want to try that. And then I'm going to slip the strap around the calf, and I'm going to quite firmly bring the leg in a little closer. So now I feel the top of the thigh touch the rib there. And this is where you're going to, if you bring it in adequately, you're going to feel those shaking
motions. You're gonna allow. There's some other past lives that need to work their way out here. Think about freeing yourself from all those past lives at the same time reconnecting with them, maybe. Now I'm going to try to keep the thigh in quite close and bring the strap back up to its original position. So you really should be feeling quite a lot of shaking here. Now we're going to lift the right leg up next to the left, and then 5 of these extending through the leg. Try not to disturb the left leg too much, lightly touching the ground, and then back up. Try to get the calf to touch the ground, and then forward again. Keeping your focus on that left leg. And when you've done 5, you keep the last one, so you'll just keep the right leg extended down. Take the strap in your left hand and just create a wrap around the hand here. And then very slowly, I'm going to keep my right hand on my hip and open the left leg out. And I'm just going to go slowly here and let the outer part of the calf rest on the block. Press through both heels. Again, just bringing those extra dimensions into this pose by changing the position of the foot. So pressing through the heel and then pushing through the ball of the foot. Notice that the ball of the foot is free of the strap to move further than where the strap is. There should be action in this series pretty much the whole way through. And the action is quite isolated down from the hip to the foot on both sides, actually. Now we're going to start to take the leg back up. Use your abdominal muscles, get into that core body to support that lift of the leg, and also to stabilize the right hip. And then reach up again with 2 hands, just bringing that leg in. And then release and just go ahead and extend the 2 legs. Place both hands on the hip bones there, the front of the hip. And again, if I just lift my gaze up and look, I see an adjustment already. So again, that left hip now seems to be just a little bit lower. Good, and then just bend your knees. roll to your side and come up. I'm going to use my blanket for this next pose. I want one knee on the blanket. So coming back to that first pose that we did like this is a little bit different, but it has some similar characteristics. Take your block over to your right and take your right foot and lay the ball of the foot over the top edge of the block. And again, look at your knee. You want close enough to a knee to foot alignment. That's a little bit closer. You may want your strap as well. Float your arms wide and then reach your arm. Your right arm is going to reach. And as you reach, you're hinging right at the top of that left thigh there. Now, this might help if you take the strap around the top of the thigh like this and hinge so that you get a deep, deep hinge, and then reach the strap under and hold it with your left hand. And now reach your right hand away from the torso and down to the toes. Now take your right hand back and open your left arm up. So I'm taking the right hand now and bringing it around the strap. So I'm still creating that deep crease there, and I'm going to open the left arm and then extend the left arm. Still pulling down with the strap. So I'm deepening that crease. And as I deepen the crease, I can come a little bit lower and then all the way up and release. Now you don't have to use the strap. You could actually just do it with your hand, but I find the strap really goes into the place that I want to access here. So if it's helpful for you to use the strap, please do. Let's go to the second side. Take your block over. And by the way, you don't really need your blanket unless you just want that extra cushion for your knee. Step your left foot on the block. Again, try to bring the ball of the foot up onto the block. And notice how I'm lifting the toes away from the block. So that creates effort in the leg, particularly in the front of the leg here. Okay, and then you can just set the strap over. Take the two arms wide, and then see if you can find that crease without the strap. First of all, and then take your right hand, right hand around the strap, and then lift your left arm and reach and pull the strap into the joint. And keep reaching, and you might be able to touch the toe. That's how deep in that joint can go. Give you way more flexibility than you think you have. The flexibility doesn't just come through the muscles. You got to really work into the other parts of the body as well. I'm really pulling firmly down with the strap to get the strap way down into the area where the quadricep and the hip meet. Then I'm going to take the left hand now, open your right arm out, and I'm pulling firmly down, firmer than before, and then reaching that right hand. Oh.
Good, come on up. After that pose, we need downward facing dog. Come forward. Nose curl. Take the pose. Now imagine that strap still around the joint at the top of both thighs. Now, if we had extra arms, we could actually support ourselves in that way, couldn't we? But alas, we're not octopi or octopuses. Good. Now bring the two knees down onto the floor. Stand up and take your right foot forward. Again, bring the ball of the foot right over the block. And then you'll take the strap one more time around the right thigh and back behind you. I'm going to hold on here with both hands, pulling into the thigh. I can point the toes back on the back foot, or if you need more stability, keep the heel high. And then pull back as you move your chest forward. Oh, yes. So this is a great pose for your low back. It's a great pose for your hamstrings. Pull a little bit more with the right hand. And then inhale, come up. Step your right knee back. And step your left foot forward. Make sure your right knee is right under your hip. And take your strap again and just bring it into that crevice right there. Under the inside of the leg, reach back with both hands. It's quite firm with both hands. When you come into the forward bend, you're going to use the left hand a little bit more. So real slow here, feeling this, sensing this all the way as you draw that strap right into the joint. You're really adjusting your hip and you're pulling with your left hand a little bit more. I'm just going to gaze down somewhere around the shin. Go ahead, pull with that left hand a little more. Chest is forward. Toes coming away from the block. Come up. And we'll take downward dog one more time. Now from here, just walk your feet forward. Take your strap and bring the strap around the front of the hip. Again, finding that crease. And you're just going to support it just by reaching your hands and fists just behind your hips and trying to deepen into the crease as you fold. And then release. Step your feet back. Downward dog. Now imagine that strap around the hip again. It's a really important instruction in yoga is to access that part of your hip, the joint that holds the leg and the hip together.
And then bend your knees. And you're going to take any version of child's pose that you like. You can have the toes together, you can have the feet apart. Just notice the hip again, and then come back up. And one more time, just take the strap around. If you stand up, you get a better position. So stand on your knees, take the strap around the same spot, and then you're going to come down and pull the strap back and take the head down. You're just going to hold the strap there and pull back. This is a great one also to give you some sort of relief in the low back. For those of you who sit a lot, this is a great pose. And then with the strap pretty tight, start to come up and then back up onto the knees. And from here, I'm going to step the knees about hip distance. I'm going to curl my toes under, to take the left hand and bring it back towards your left heel. Take the right arm and lift it. And as you start to turn your gaze back toward that left hand, take your hand and slip it across to the other heel. Now let your head go into that diagonal line that extends out through the spine. And then come up. Turn to the right, take your right hand, bring it down to your right heel. Lift the left arm. Oh. And then look towards your right heel and take your hand now across to the other heel. And then let the head fall in line with the spine. So it's an extension of the spine, endlessly moving in that diagonal. And then come back up. And now we're going to sit in Virasana. And if you would like to sit on a block, put the block between your heels and just sit back, point your toes back and sit on the block. And you can put the block on any height. And if you're fine with sitting without the block, that's okay too. So I'm getting a nice stretch now through the front of the ankle here. I'm just going to close my eyes for a few breaths and reset in the pose. Now, the way I like to reset in this pose, once I find the two sit bones, just sit down, allow the sit bones to press into the block, and then I start to bring the navel in. And I feel a slight rounding of the lower part of the lumbar and into the tailbone. Now from here, I'm going to move over to the left and take the right foot and step it forward. I have the foot in line with the knee, and I'm going to take my left hand around the shin and the right hand back to the floor and twist to the right. And now I'm going to take my right leg and extend it. And twist, continue the twist now to the right as I can press the hand into the thigh so that there's a firmness there and twist away from that right thigh. So I'm getting all sorts of adjustments through my spine here because I've stretched the legs to a point where they're fairly limber at the moment. So it gives me more ease in the back and the ability maybe to find more space. And that's essentially what I'm doing as I hear those little adjustments. Good, come on back, take your right knee and bring it next to your left. Roll to your left and take the left foot forward. Just gonna bring the foot in line with the knee here. Hand, right hand around the shin, left hand back. Just want to get that twist. Turn your body and lift your chest. I might have gotten all the adjustments I'm going to get from that first side. We'll see. I'm always open for more. I love those little pops. Now I'm going to take this left leg and extend the heel. Really finding those sit bones again. And it's from there that I lift, I take the hand over and press down a little bit as well. And I turn. Oh, there's a little pop. Beautiful, good. Go ahead and take that left knee and bring it back. Have a seat again on your block in Virasana. One last adjustment here. So if you just watch for a second, I'll show you the difference. So watch, this is the adjustment that I want to make. Navel, watch this go in. You see, it rounds the buttock a little bit and draws the tailbone forward. And then I can set my torso after that adjustment. Spreading the collarbones. Drawing the shoulders down, drawing the chin in. Good, and then come on up. All right, we're going to now go down onto our backs again. So I'm going to not use a blanket for the first piece of this. I'm going to lie flat. Take your block. I'm going to put it on its side position to start. I'm going to lift the hips and take the block under the sacrum. So I'm in the bridge. Now in the bridge, it's really important to keep the chest really lifted up so you're more in the top of the shoulders. If I let my body sink a bit, I go down into the bottom of the shoulder blades. That's not what I want. I want to observe that arc in the spine. That's important. All right, now I think I'm ready to go higher up. So I'm going to walk my feet in and come onto the ball of the foot, lift the hips, slide the block in. And as I set the sacrum down, I really want to get the bottom part of the sacrum to come down onto the block. And to do that, I have to lift the chest even more. And then I'm going to lift my feet. And then I'm going to extend the two legs up into an inversion. Again, if I collapse on and let the chest collapse, I'm losing the sacrum on the block. If I lift the chest, I'm setting the sacrum down. I want that. Now bend your knees again, bring your feet down, and turn the block onto the narrow position. So it's right along the low part of the sacrum and into the tailbone. And now I'm going to come up again, and that's how precise I want it to be. Chest is lifted, legs are elevated. Now, flex your heels, spread your toes, and then push through the ball of the foot. Look at your toes. Get the space between every one of those toes. I know it's hard. It's one toe that just does not want to move. And then just relax your toes. Keep your chest lifted. We've got about 5 more breaths here. So we want to really make that arc in the back from the tailbone all the way up to the cervical part, the lower cervical part of the spine. And then bend your knees and set your feet down. Lift your hips and take the block away. Take your blanket. Reach it around. Take your strap. Make a loop in your strap. Okay, so the loop in the strap. I'm going to take the strap around the legs, up to the thighs, and tighten it. And then I'm going to extend the legs, not too tight, but it's going to hold the legs in place. And I'm going to take the feet wide. So walk your heels out as far as they'll go, and then just let go in the feet. Don't worry too much about whether or not the legs are turning out. Open your palms. By the way, this is a great pose to give relief to the hips. If you want to go a little more, you can tighten the strap just a little bit more. And you'll notice that your feet don't fall out as much. So it keeps the leg in a very specific line with the hips. Invite the breath to find its way in and out of the body smoothly and freely. Allow the lips to gently move apart just a little bit so you can access the breath both through the nostrils and the mouth. Relax the inner part of the lips. Relax the tongue. Relax the upper palate. Feel the upper palate relax out toward the cheekbones. When we start to relax the body, it's always a good idea to check with the face. Oftentimes, if there's tension in the face, if we can start to release that, the body will follow suit. And it's particularly so around the mouth and jaw. We can relax the inside of the mouth and the jaw. We have our best chance to relax the rest of the body, including the brain. Don't forget to do this part of your practice. This is your body's reward for being active. There's a heaviness to the back body, and there's a lightness to the front body. And in this pose, they work in unison, in tandem. When you're ready, just release the strap. Bend your knees and draw the two knees into the chest. Bring the knees a little wide and in, and just check in with your low back. A lot of the poses we did today will have an impact in your low back. So you want to be careful that you check in from time to time with your low back. This is a great way to do it right here. Circling your sacrum on the ground, moving from side to side. And then roll to your side and help yourself up. And we'll come back to our original position. Drawing the feet in and across. Drawing the buttock flesh out. Bring the palms together. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you later in the week. Bye.